Canada has postponed the annual meeting of North American leaders until sometime later this year. Sources tell us the Canadians are very unhappy with the Obama administration's refusal to approve the Keystone Pipeline project, and its uncertain fate played a role in the Canadian decision, which is scheduled to host the event in that postponement. Well, our next guest offered the president some advice on a legacy, suggesting that working with Congress that the American people chose might be one way to get something done. Joining us now, the former Reagan White House political director, Ed Rollins, a senior presidential fellow at Hofstra University, member of the Political Consultants Hall of Fame. Ed is also Fox News political analyst, and we are delighted to see you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Let's start with simply the legacy of this president. Does he really have one that's even in prospect?
Well, it's not a good one right today. I mean, there's two major pieces of legislation he passed, was Obamacare and the Dodd-Frank bill, both of which need to be fixed. Whether you want to repeal them or not, which Republicans do, or fix them to make them work, either way, it takes the Congress to help with that. And my sense is the Congress is now in control of the Republican Party, both the House and the Senate, and he's got 2 years left here. He needs to basically not fight them; he needs to work with them, and that doesn't mean he has to give up everything, but he has to give them something.
Yeah, but that would be absolutely counter to everything that he has done over the past 6 years. He has been steadfast in his obstinacy. Is there any likelihood that he would even think about being reasonable, looking to middle ground, trying to reach agreement?
He has to get up someday and look in the mirror and say, what's in the best interest of the country? And if he thinks his agenda is the only thing that's in the best interest of the country, he's a fool. And I think at the end of the day, he needs to basically say, all right, the American public twice in 2 midterm elections have elected a Republican Congress, now a Senate. I need to work with these people. I need to basically move the economy forward. There's lots of things that can be done. Either that or he's totally lame duck and he can do whatever he wants by executive order, most of which will be repealed by the courts.
Where do you stand in the discussion about illegal immigration and amnesty and the executive fiat? I laughed yesterday because the White House was trying to spin one thing that was absolutely untrue, that the House had passed legislation that supports amnesty, while John Boehner was saying another that's untrue, but perhaps to a lesser extent. He could have said it was more about the Constitution than immigration, but he chose to say it was all about the Constitution and not immigration.
But
what kind of nonsense?
But it is nonsense. As you know, I was very involved when I was in the White House in the 86 bill, and that's still the law of the land. We have 11 million plus illegals in the country. All the president has done is basically say 4 million of them are not going to be deported, but they're not going to become citizens. We need to solve that problem. We need to basically have a path to citizenship in some way, shape, or form, not let them in the front of the line, but at the back of the line. Equally as important, we need to basically take the young people who've come here, who were born here, what have you,
well, Bob Goodlatte has done that in his Judiciary Committee, 4 bills that are incremental reform of illegal immigration and a border that right now is wide open.
Well, the border is the key thing that we all keep arguing on as Republicans. We have to seal that border before we do anything else, and particularly as we look at this world and these illegals, not illegals necessarily, but people who are sneaking in the country and creating terrorism. My sense today, sealing that border is the most important thing. The country wants that. The other issues will come, but you don't need a 3,000-page bill or 2,000-page bill. Why can't you take 2 years and do this properly? Let it go through congressional hearings, let the public have their say, and at the end of the day, do something that works.
The advocates of amnesty and open borders, who want a whole loaf, and they've made that very clear, and say they're representing the interest of illegal immigrants, have wasted, absolutely squandered opportunity after opportunity, and 10 years in which there could have been substantive reform in the matter of, I think, 3 months, and doing something intelligent, and which would have been a middle ground, but they've chosen the other ways. Let me turn to Valerie Jarrett with this amazing affront to those folks, millions of people in France marching and demonstrating for the first time against radical Islamists in Europe and terrorism, and she dismisses it as a parade, even as she is ostensibly trying to do damage control.
Well, as I said in my article, this president has a tenure, a political tenure, and maybe with Axelrod and those guys in there, they got some things right in the early part of the administration. But clearly today, Valerie Jarrett, who's the principal advisor to this president on all matters, is not a politician, does not understand, and that's the very insensitive word to use. That's a parade. A parade is something that's fun, something that basically is cheerful. This was not a cheerful. This was a very serious demonstration. The president should have been
obviously trying to trivialize it.
Well, she was trying to trivialize because the president made a mistake and didn't go there. He should have gone there and been front and center, and they made that admission yesterday that they did not send the proper people and that Eric Holder was there doing other stuff and what have you. Biden will go to anything. Someone of that stature, the president or the vice president, should have been in the front of that line.
Ed Rollins, it's always good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.